Hi, Stephen. How are you doing?
Beautiful entrance. Yeah, good. How are you?
Good to see you again here on my show. So, how have you been? How's your day been so far? What you gonna do tonight?
Yeah, I've been going well, thanks. Yeah, actually tonight I thought I'd do something a little different. This one isn't a song by my band After School Care. It's just a song I've written personally. So a little change of pace, but I thought it might be worth giving it a crack.
Why not?
So no hats today.
Why not? Whenever you're ready.
Anyway, sure. This one's called Nightmare. It's just about relationships and breaking up and whatnot. So bit of a sad one, but yeah, hope you like it.
Emmanuel! How are you doing?
Very good.
Okay, good. Okay, perfect. We made it eventually after a few months. I'm so glad you are here today.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
You're welcome. So, I've gotten lots of questions for you, but before I'm going to start my questions, would you like to say hi to those who are watching us now and later?
Okay, so hi everyone watching from around the world. My name is Emmanuel Oyeleke, and I'm here on the Borna Kazerani show. I mean, I can't wait for you to watch everything we had to discuss, and hopefully you'll learn one or two things, and yeah, enjoy yourselves. Yeah.
Sure. Emmanuel, over the past few months, I've spoken to many African artists and realized that artists in Africa, artists in Africa are extremely creative and special. And of course, you're one of them. And why do you think we have seen and heard a little about the art of African artists before the social platform came to our lives? Well, today social platforms are helping make their works visible. So why do you think the way the media presented that continent is quite miserable, poor? But since I started this show, actually, after I started talking to many artists from Africa, it's completely changed. You tell me.
Okay, so thanks for that question. First of all, I would like to say, I mean, African creatives, African people are generally talented. I think it's part of our culture. When you talk about African art, I think it's not just African art for aesthetics. It's mostly a lot of African arts are actually functional arts. So when you talk about African art in retrospect, I mean, let's say people used to carve stools for them to sit in their homes. I mean, it's African art, but then it's in part of our culture, we see it as functional furniture. Whereas, I mean, when you look at it holistically, it's actually art. We used to have people carve masks for masquerade festivals, for all sorts of things. Even in our fashion, when you talk about African fashion, you see it's infused ingeniously, I mean, with art. I mean, so when you talk about African art, Africa actually, I mean, art has actually been something that is unique, and it's primary to the existence or to the culture of African people. So in talking about the relevance of African art on the global scale, I think a lot has been suppressed through years of colonialism so if you go to, for instance, museums in Paris, you see a lot of African art, but it's never, a lot of them are not attributed to their roots. A lot of them are not properly catalogued, and I mean the right credits are not, because definitely history has been erased or blotted out in some places. So what I think as a result of social media is a lot of African creatives are taking the bull by the horn now. I mean, they're taking it as a responsibility to promote themselves, which wasn't what was obtainable then. I mean, if you have to promote yourself as an artist before, probably you have to get a curator, someone come and expose your work to the global scene, which wasn't, I mean, done the right way. Essentially, even when it is done, you see a lot of these people claim the credits for themselves and not just the actual artists. So that's why I think the African art has actually been, it's been whitewashed, if I might say it like that, and it's not been given the due credit that it deserves on the global scene. So, I mean, that's just my submission. What I think, but right now we feel that, you know what, nobody can tell our stories better than we. So we have to take the bull by the horn. We have to actually take the initiative and create arts for Africa, arts that speaks Africa to the rest of the world. And that's why there's a new emergence of new African creatives that are taking by storm. Yeah.
Iran, the country where I am from, actually, the government doesn't help Iranian artists much, and they struggle with a huge problem of censorship. This is the reason why artists actually move out of Iran. This
Yeah.
means that the photographer must be very careful in choosing their subjects, to not be too political, to be really, really careful. So, and photography, like, they must have an official permission from the government. And after that, if they want to hold an exhibition, the government must approve the photographer's photos. And do you have the same problems in Africa, or does the government help photographers and other artists get their work seen?
So essentially, serious situation on in Iran, but here in Nigeria, for instance, can you hear me? Good. Here in Nigeria, for instance, we don't have that sort of strict censorship yet. But then a lot of people are actually proposing it now, whereas they want to, there's something called the social media bill, where everything you see on social media has to be censored. And it's currently legislation. And this is one of the things that a lot of Nigerian youths are fighting so that it doesn't pass as a law. I mean, it's essentially takes your right of to free communication, essentially it takes your right to communicate. I mean, it limits what you can say in the public on social media. Speaking about the government, a lot of people a lot of lawmakers, essentially politicians are proposing a social media bill that essentially censors what you can say. I mean, essentially they're saying you can't incite violence, or you can't talk against the government, or essentially this before something, it has to be censored. And a lot of youths are actually fighting against this. A lot of creatives are actually fighting so that this doesn't pass into law. I'm aware right now Tanzania has some sort of censorship because the elections are going on, and the government essentially has shut down internet in Tanzania. I mean, this is part of, Africa is big, and this is part of what we're talking about. And each different region of Africa, they have their own specific or peculiar problems. Right here in Nigeria, we don't have serious censorship when it comes to, it's not really, there's a lot of unwritten laws. Can you hear me? Yeah, so there's a lot of unwritten nuances where, anything can happen. Essentially, just 2 weeks ago, we were protesting the police units, which is SAS, which is, it's been for extrajudicial arrests and even sometimes unlawful kidnappings, if you understand. So only 2 weeks ago or last week,
Absolutely.
Yeah, there were lots of protests about that. So, essentially, it's a lot of things are not written or set in stone or written as laws. But then sometimes your rights to freedom of information can still be trampled upon, just because you the government or you essentially put out some information that they deem was not supposed to be for public consumption. So this is part of what we're still fighting against as Nigerians. I'm sure we will win. Definitely, we will win. Nobody can silence us as creatives. Definitely. Nobody.
Of course.
Yeah.
And also, you poor people been struggling back to back. Before that was a Black Lives Matter movement.
Yes.
And now
yes.
it's another thing.
Yes.
I had to cancel lots of my interviews. I had to cancel lots of my interviews in Africa because, I'm really fascinated with Africans artists, and I've got lots of African people on the second season of my show, but I had to cancel it because first of all, I felt for you guys, you were not probably mentally doing 100% okay, because what you've been through was crazy, and
Yes,
I was shocked, and also I record you for Africans, and you people just struggling back to back, and I was just like, God, I thought Iran is the only country who's been through so much shit stuff like, but
yeah.
oh my God, that was crazy, and I felt really, really sorry.
It's crazy. I mean, essentially, I think the whole world is going through this right now, where I mean, all over the world, things are really, I mean, upside down, and I just can't wait for 2020 to pass, and then let's just start afresh. Let's just start 2021 on a new slate. Let's see what 2021 has to offer. Really, it's crazy.
Absolutely. So back to you, and you're such a successful African photographer who won many awards and has been working in the industry for years. So I'd like you to take me back 2 years ago, actually, when you had no clue about photography, and what's happened, actually. When was the first time you told yourself, well, I'm going to be, or I want to be a photographer in the future, which is today, and who's sitting in front of me? And tell me, take us to the beginning and talk to me about what happened.
Okay, so typically my journey in photography is one of serendipity. I never studied, I mean, as a photographer. I didn't study to become a photographer. So years ago, while I was in school, I used to be very entrepreneurial. I used to play a lot of Scrabble, professional Scrabble. And that actually is part of my photography journey. Because so there's something we call the NYSC, that's the National Youth Service Corps, where when you finish from the university or polytechnic or your higher institution, you have to go into service, more like internship period for 1 year. And the way it works in Nigeria is you have different states. So if you're from a particular state, you have to go and serve in another state, just for, I mean, for you to, I mean, it promotes diversity of some sort. So I finished school. I studied computer science, actually, and I came to Lagos. Yes, I came to Lagos for my Youth Service Corps, NYSC. And before then, I've always been fascinated about traveling, because I play Scrabble and I travel a lot when I used to play active Scrabble. And whenever I travel, I really want to take memories from my trips and then take it back with me when I come back to Nigeria. Or so that was when I was really fascinated about photography. In 2011, I used to follow a photographer, a travel photographer, who is named Trey Ratcliffe. I'm not sure if you know him. Trey Ratcliffe is a foremost proponent of HDR photography, and I used to follow him on Facebook. It was really fascinating, and I sought to develop my skills. I mean, I feel like anything I do, I always love to do it well. So I started looking around for photography workshops or trainings that I can go to so that I can start photography. And in 2012, I found one, and it was just serendipity, really. I was just going on with a friend discussing,
As much as I want to go through all my questions, but for me, the most important part that I'm really wondering and really interested to know is about your when was the first time, like you said, when was the first time that you felt you're an artist, you're a creator, or you're a creative person? That part very important to me to know. That's
so immediately after the workshop I attended, that was in March 2012. Immediately after the workshop, I just felt something change. Like I felt like, you know what, I didn't want to be stuck behind a computer anymore. I felt like I could communicate better using photography, because I mean, I'm not so much of someone that talks a lot. So I just felt a change that, you know what, I can communicate better using pictures. So immediately after the workshop, I quit my job and I started photography. Immediately.
I'm glad you did.
Immediately. So that was in March 2012.
Oh my God, you're amazing. So, in your photography, one of the things that catches my eyes is the kind of mixture or fusion of modernity and classism. Does this intentionally happen, or no, it just happens subconsciously or indirectly?
So typically, a lot of things I say in my photography are things I think about. I think about tomorrow. I think about future. I think, I mean, I still want to be grounded with reality, but then infuse a little bit of futurism in my work. And a lot of the things I say are things I think about, things I dream about, I think like things I fantasize about. So I would say a lot of these elements that appears in my photographs are not just mistakes. They're not just things that there are things that are actually subconscious and then manifests in my work when I put them together. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I felt. Lots of questions came through. Guys, I've got lots of questions myself. So if we go through the questions, which
Absolutely.
I usually doesn't happen. Personally, I really like your works that have African themes. I can comment and connect actually myself them a lot more. Especially the dresses that your models have worn, with African textures. How come we don't see much of them in your late work? So, what's going on?
I like to say sometimes as artists, we go through phases, and at different times we have different things to say. But then I feel like it's still the core of my message to promote Africa, to tell African stories. It's still the core of my message. So even though sometimes maybe some words, I might make some words to speak about some different things, because if you think about it, in the last few months, there has been the pandemic, then the economic crisis, then the political crisis, especially the socio-political crisis happening in Nigeria at the moment, the NSAS, the end bad governance. I feel like at sometimes these events also impact the message as an artist that we want to put out. So essentially, you want to put out messages that would speak about things that are happening at the moment. So essentially, it might not infuse every element of what I used to infuse, like the African dresses, the flamboyant dresses. If we're in a pensive time, I don't feel like it's I mean, not that it's right, but I just don't feel like putting out work that is so effervescent and speaks about affluence or things like that. If the environment is pensive, I want to put out not actively but subconsciously. The way I'm feeling also impacts what I put out. So essentially, I'll say the climate, the political climate, the economic climate, also a lot happening around the world affects what you put out as an artist at a particular point in time. And I think that's what the issue is, and not because I don't want to speak about Africa. Africa is my heritage. I don't think there's any other person that can speak about Africa from outside Africa the way I should be able to speak about Africa for myself. So I think there will be times for my work to really speak of the characteristics that it normally typically would have, and there's some other times that would speak of other things that are happening. So I think that's the situation.
Okay, and yeah, all right. So, and one of the most important points actually in your work is choosing the right colors. The colors that you choose for your photography is like that. I want to eat that photo because it's so... And you're just choosing the right color scheme for the subjects of your work. Do you know exactly what color is going to be used for you before you want to actually take a photo, or do you come to this conclusion after finishing the like photography? Do you know what's going on?
So it works both ways for me. Sometimes I have an idea and I know exactly what I want to do, but other times I have no clue of what I'm doing. I just stumble across I just go with the work. I take risks sometimes, and they pay off sometimes. So it works both ways. Sometimes I know exactly what I want to do. Sometimes I know exactly the palettes I want to use. All those things. I mean, they're in my subconscious. So sometimes I know exactly what I'm going for, and other times I actually have no idea. And sometimes it's on set when we're shooting that I just think of stuff and I see this, I feel like it will go well with this, so let's pair it with this. Sometimes I have something planned out, and on the day of the shoot, we scrap it and go with something radical, something really new. So it works both ways for me. Sometimes I know exactly what I'm doing. Sometimes I don't know what I'm doing, and I just stumble across, and then essentially it comes out great eventually. So yeah, I wouldn't lie to you and say, you know what, every single time I know what I'm doing, but sometimes I just risk it.
Yeah, you should. I think we should take a risk. Now I want to change the atmosphere. I want to ask you a favor, and I want to play a tour at your studio. I can't wait. I will be there and working with you, and you talk to me. But I'm going this way. So please grab your phone and camera and take us with you and show us around.
Okay, so this is my primary workspace for now. My office is under renovation. It's upstairs. So this is my primary workspace for now. I have my computers there, the screen there, some books, this picture is actually one of my favorite pictures. And it's I think 5 years old. I took the picture in 2015. And it's one of my pictures, my favorite pictures.
Why?
So
why? Hang on. Go back to Go close. Talk to me.
Okay.
Go
great.
And talk. Why is it?
There's just something about it. It's timeless, and it just speaks to you. It's almost like when you're looking at it, it's staring right back at you. And it's an outtake from one of the projects I did. The name of the model is Melissa De Vidal. Yeah, I remember. It just, when I look at it, I just feel it's just soothing to look at, and there's just so many emotions that it triggers, and it's timeless. If I told you I took this picture 10 years ago, you will believe. If I told you I took it yesterday, I feel like it's still very relevant.
Okay, that's interesting.
I think that's why it stays as one of my favorites, actually. So yeah, a lot of my works are down, not hung up, but this is the shooting area. Sometimes I create magic right here. I have another studio upstairs, but still under renovation. Maybe I'll show you a little bit of the renovation going on. Maybe I'll do that once I'm done with this space. I can just give you a sneak peek. And this is some of my pictures. I have a lot of them in store. This is a series I did in 2019, last year, and it's just one of the series I exhibited as part of my Humanist exhibition.
What's
this is?
Hang on.
Okay, all right.
Talk to me. What's the concept? And tell me about this photograph.
So this is titled Communion, and there are a lot of things that were, underlying factors, and some of the things that I was thinking about while creating this work. It's titled Communion, and as you can see, there's some sort of, so let me just start from this. So this is probably almost like still in the contemplative state, almost like, okay, well, how relationships are formed, and I mean, even factors that affect relationships. You can see they're very black skin. You can see, I mean, when you take the artistic impressions or the meanings of this, a lot of people can read different meanings to it. When I exhibited, a lot of people told me things I wasn't even thinking about the picture and their own interpretation of the pictures, and I was just completely wild. And one of the interpretations that I got, which wasn't mine, I mean, specifically, this was born out of exploring relationships between people. That was my concept. But one of the things I got from one of the people that came to the exhibition was like, oh, how the Western world seek to Westernize the way we, as Africans, we relate to each other in our relationships. So the whites basically depicting the Western world, and then the darkness, the dark skin, the African, how it seeks to change the way we relate to each other. And I mean, it's a valid point if you think about it, if you look at it in such. So this is the contemplation stage, and then eventually this is a stage where there's some sort of relationship, and then the droplets are actually kind of like the results or the outcomes of these sort of relationships. So when I was creating this work, I had them dip their hand inside paint and then photograph their hands while the paint was still dripping from the hands. So I mean, it's just one of those things. You have any question about this before I move on?
No, please move. You're doing perfect.
Okay, and this also, it's part of some of the series I made, and it's essentially it's born out of a Yoruba saying about saying "baniso." It means before you tell other people what's wrong with you, why don't you take some time and contemplate on it for yourself, and discuss with yourself before you absolutely tell other people. That's the same, still from the same series. And this is another work from some of my series that essentially, when I was thinking about this work, I'm not sure if you know the stories of what's it called, the Chibok girls. They were abducted in the northern region of Nigeria about a few years ago, and up till now, there's been a lot of propaganda, and they've not been found essentially. So this series speaks about. This is one out of the series of works, but this series speaks about even in the arid lands, even in the dryness, seeming nothingness, there's still a lot that can come out. There's still a lot of beauty that can come out of that situation. So
very
yes,
deep and
yes.
wow.
Very meaningful. Yes, insightful. So this is one of my series also. I think when you were talking about the futurism in some of my work, I think this is what this series. It's just one of the series from my humanist series too. I'll go on and show you some other works. So this is called. Dance to Self-Elevation. It talks about the struggle for enlightenment, struggle for freedom, struggle for development that happens, even as we are humans. So this is also from the same series. Can you hear me? Good.
I can hear you. I cannot identify the color. Is that black and white, or no? It's kind of purple.
So yes, it's kind of bluish actually. So and the blue, I mean, it's just I felt like it needs to have like a cold tone, just to depict the coldness of the picture, or the struggle essentially. I mean, it's not warm; it's just very cold, and it's done on purpose. I mean, I intentionally left it that way, and you can see it's like a double exposure, and you can see like a city rising out of So and this also, I think you're frozen. Okay, yeah. This also is also from the same series. It's specifically Afro-futuristic, where we're looking up to the future, but holding on to our cultures and beliefs. So essentially, that's work. So this is essentially the shooting area.
Go back. You go the previous. You get bored of your work, but I love it. I'm just mesmerized with what you're doing. So
yes,
you see every day. Talk to me about this. What's the concept? I really do love it.
Yeah, so essentially, like I said, we're people that believe in our culture, we believe in our traditions, and as you can see that from what she's wearing, the beads she's holding on to, the earrings that are made out of feathers and still very traditional, the earpiece that is almost cognizant of the African earpiece, which is like gele, they call it gele. So it's the head wrap, and then you can see the what's it called now on her face, which is the what's it called I'm trying to remember the name now. Oh God, how can I forget this?
That's
Anyways,
right. We know.
So it's that's a futuristic element in the picture, and essentially it's just something I think about a lot of times, and it comes up in my work. So I'm just gonna go ahead. I'm just gonna go ahead and show you some other things. So this is my changing area, stroke the makeup area, where there's a lot of the changing area, the makeup area, where makeup is done, and some of the work here too. This is titled "The Works That Men Do Leaves After Them." I mean, so essentially, while you're here, it's important to do good and essentially be good, because you'll be remembered for the things that you do long after you're gone. And it's still the same from the same series. So it's I mean, a lot of people are talented and gifted. We come without, we just have to find out what our talent is, what our skills are, and develop it. So that's what this what's it called, the picture is depicting essentially. So that's the tour of the spaces that I can just quickly give you a quick tour of the outside. Let me show you outside where I paint.
Yes.
Where I paint I paint backdrops. So just a little bit of my gardening skills. just a little bit of that. Yes, absolutely. I love flowers too, so try to keep a little bit of this. Yes, try to keep. So this is where I paint, and you can see all the storage, and I do a lot of things here. I do some carpentry work. I do some painting.
Yes.
Let's continue with the
Emmanuel,
with the discussion. Yes.
I love this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you when painting came to the life? When painting happened? So
yes.
photography and painting happen at the same time, or no? Which one came first?
Photography came first, although I remember when I was very young, I used to do a lot of scribbling. As a matter of fact, I completely destroyed my parents' wedding album because I was scribbling inside the wedding album. So yeah, I remember. I mean, I think it's always been part of me. The artistic side of me has always been one part of me. So yes, so photography came first. Then I started painting backdrops actually. So it's still related to photography, but then I still explore the other creative side of me through painting.
Okay,
Yes.
but as I mentioned earlier, so you won several awards in Nigeria and Africa, including Future Awards Prize for Photography in 2018,
Yes.
and also a fashion photographer for the year Africa in 2018,
Yes.
and also Fashion Finance Award for Fashion Photographer of the year 2019, and many others. Well,
Yes.
congratulations. So,
Thank you.
you won a lot. Take my hand with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so I want you to explain a little bit more of each, and why do you think you won? You were a winner. Tell me.
Okay. I mean, it will be. I think it will be a bit. Okay, so I'll just try to say a little bit about that. I think generally hard work and dedication really pays off. Generally, so that's the basis of my. I mean, in anything you do, if you do it so well and you do it diligently, then you're bound to excel essentially. And then once you excel, I think the recognition will come in anything you do. I mean, no matter what it is, if you do it diligently and you put a lot of effort and hard work into it, and you don't settle for less than excellent. You don't settle for less than excellent, and you just keep going. You're obsessed about it. Like for a long time, I mean, I'm obsessed about photography, and I think eventually, once you're able to do that and you're excellent, you're putting out good work, you're putting all your effort into it, then the recognition will come. And I feel like that's the explanation I have for the awards or for the recognitions. So I mean, I wouldn't get cocky and say, you know what, I'm the best. No, I wouldn't say that. I think there are lots and loads of talented people on the continent of Africa and even the world at large. So I consider it a privilege if I mean, I've been recognized, but at the same time, I would say, you know what, it's important. It's very important to know what you're doing and to give it your all. I mean, if you decide to do it well. That's just the simple thing. And honestly, don't live for these awards, because when they come, that's the thing. They're there. So if that's what is your primary motive or objective, if you're looking forward to, you know what, winning awards, then when you win them, so what's next? So it's important to not to live for the award, not to live for the recognition, but then just do your diligent work and do good work, and eventually they will come. But they're not the what's it called? They're not the goal. I mean, the awards are not the goal. The goal is to lead a good life and leave a good example to those coming behind, and just do what you can while you're here, because we're not here for long. That's the thing. So it's important to do that.
And believe in yourself.
Believe in yourself. Yes, that's it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Emmanuel, I have no further questions for you.
Thank you so much.
I really enjoyed my conversation with you. But
Absolutely.
Before we wrap it up, so is
Yes.
there anything else that you might you want to talk about and probably I didn't ask you?
Questions, project. Essentially, I think for me, it's moving on to the next level of I mean, I won't say career, but try to leave a legacy right now. I mean, when you think about it, set goals, achieve them year in, year out, then what's next? I think the next goal is to essentially build the next, bring up further talents, like in photography and artistic, I mean, bring up new people that can go on and carry on and even do more than I have done. So essentially, that's the reason why a lot of restructuring, a lot of renovation is going on with the business, and we're creating an enabling environment to have more creatives come in to our space and essentially develop and then grow themselves. We're creating a new photography school, which will kick off. It was supposed to kick off next month, but because of all the situation in the country, we had to postpone the kickoff till January. So we're kicking off a photography school in January, and leading up to that, I feel like there'll be a few exhibitions before the year runs out, or at the most in January, and essentially just give back as much as I can to the photography industry, and at the same time, I mean, develop myself. I hope to do more learning, to do more experimentation, to explore more. And that's what I'm hoping to do for the next few months, and essentially build a structure around the entire business, build a structure around and systems around the entire business, and have it run without me. That's the next level now.
Well, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Amazing. So I love my conversation with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your patience with the connection and everything. Is just ridiculous, but then at least we've been able to get the points across. And I mean, the conversation was, I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation too. Thank you so much for having me on your show, and it's a pleasure.
It was my pleasure. I hope to meet you one day somewhere.
Definitely. It could be in Australia. It could be you coming to Africa, to Nigeria. I mean, we'll look forward to that, and essentially we'll actively plan it. Actually, I think offline we'll actively plan having a meetup one day, someday.
I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
I wish you all the best and have a
Thank you very much.
Future, like bright future for all of you and artists. And take care, people, and I'll catch you soon.
All right. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.